Welcome back to another episode of City Speak. I'm Clarence Anthony, your host, CEO and Executive Director of the National League of Cities. Our guest today is an amazing leader, and I don't say that often, and someone who I've been especially thrilled to develop a strong working relationship, but more so a personal friendship with, and that is Mayor Yemi Mobolade. From Colorado Springs, Colorado. Mayor, welcome to City Speak.
Clarence, it's good to be with you. I love who you are. I love your leadership. NLC is such a great organization to me in my city. Since day one in office, you guys have been such a great partner. So thank you. I'm excited to be on your show.
Well, our listeners will learn that this is a mutual admiration relationship that Mayor Yemi and I have developed and sincere about how he has inspired not only his community, but he's inspired others through his story. Something that I know from working at NLC every day is that good city leaders are always looking for opportunities to do better, more creative thing in engaging their residents. Mayor, we're having you here today because finding innovative ways to do community engagement is something that is needed in our communities, and you've done it in an exceptional way. Any local leader who's listening knows that social isolation and loneliness were real issues that came to the forefront during the pandemic. And since everything shut down 5 years ago, Mayor Yemi has taken it upon himself to really look for creative ways to grow connections between residents and build a sense of community in the city, which is how the 1,000 Gatherings initiative in Colorado Springs was first created. We'll hear about that today, but I want to tell you a little bit more about the mayor. Mayor Yemi immigrated to the United States from Nigeria when he was 17 years old for school. In 2010, he moved to Colorado Springs, Colorado, with the goal of opening up his own church. Now, Mayor, I kind of thought I'd be a pastor one day too. But anyway, but what he quickly found was that the city could benefit more from gathering spaces for its residents. So in 2013, he founded the Wild Goose Meeting House, the first of many cafes with the intention of bringing people together. In 2019, the city caught on and hired him as its small business development administrator. But the mayor felt that he can do more. And he set his ambitions a little higher. And in 2023, he was sworn in as Colorado Springs' 42nd mayor. He is the first Black mayor and the first immigrant to serve in that position. Mayor Yemi, welcome to City Speak, and we look forward to hearing more about some of the amazing things that you've done. So, over the next month, millions of young adults across the world will graduate from high school, Mayor, and take the next step. And I remember those moments to further their education in college, trade schools, high schools in the fall. When you were that age, you took a big step by coming to the U.S. from Nigeria to earn your degree.
Right.
What was that experience like for you to leave your family behind and be on your own? And what was the biggest cultural shock that you faced?
What's the biggest cultural shock? At 46, thinking back to when I was 17. Now I go, man, I was really young. I was still a baby, moving across the world. But part of growing up in a different part of the world is that you're kind of raised to be, in some ways, to grow up early. I attended a military, a Nigerian Navy boarding school because they had some of the best academics at the time. But you also learned leadership. So even at a young age, I was learning leadership. But coming to the U.S., of course, was very different. And I moved to South Bend, Indiana, So I remember my uncle, and in my culture of origin, people who are like family, you call him Uncle Nan. So he's not blood, but he's family. So I remember my uncle and brother coming to pick me up from Chicago O'Hare Airport, and I remember as we left the airport, the city is hustling and bustling, and that was very reminiscent of Lagos, Nigeria, which is just a crazy, crazy place. It's city as can be. And then we began to leave Chicago, and then began to see cornfields and farmland. And I remember asking them, "Where are we going?" uh, so I moved to Indiana, northern Indiana. I went to college at a small Christian liberal arts university, and I arrived August 11 of 1996 for soccer camp. We call it football, but here we call it soccer. And everything was new. I remember that first year as though it was yesterday, because when you're encountering something new for the first time, you remember every single detail. I remember some of the culture shock around just social norms. For instance, the way let me actually, this is a great example of food and dining. I remember there are etiquettes in terms of that we have in America that we didn't, that it's very different in Nigeria. So, for example, tipping is customary here, not in Nigeria. So that was new. So always remember to have extra money to tip. But this one was interesting. So soccer camp, after one of our trainings, a friend invited me to join them for dinner. So it was my first time at Pizza Hut. And in my country of origin, if you initiate the invitation, you're the host, and you're generally expected to cover the cost of the meal for both you and your guest. So I went to upon the invitation of another soccer player to join him at Pizza Hut, except I didn't have any money. And so after dinner, everybody started bringing out the wallet to pay for dinner, and I'm going, whoa, what's happening? And they were kind enough to pay for me, but at that moment I realized, oh, you got to pay for yourself. The weather was another, the cold and the snow, that was just very different. I grew up in a place of humidity. I think the difference between growing up in a very communal, collectivist, everything is done in the context of community and family. And this goes back to the social isolation we'll talk about in a minute. But in America, we value individualism and pulling yourself up personally by your bootstrap. And so, but I embrace every new challenge because that's who I am. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to see. I want to take on new challenges and opportunities.
Well, Mayor, I can first tell you that I use that trick all the time when I go out to dinner with people. I still go there, and I look like my hands can't reach across to get the check, and it works 80% of the time.
Just telling
Um,
you from Nigeria. That's why. Like
yes,
I didn't know.
I didn't know. But let me talk about, you got to Colorado Springs, and when you relocated there, you just got involved basically because you saw a need. And talk to me about the idea of why you opened up Wild Goose Meeting House and the Good Neighbors Meeting Place, because there's so much there that people can learn from in terms of why you did that and felt the need to do it.
Oh, that's a great question, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this story. I fell in love with Colorado Springs, the city of Colorado Springs, and cities are truly the hub for inspiration and human flourishing. This is, you part of your introduction of me. You talked about me being a pastor and my faith tradition, and even in the Bible, it mentions cities and it tells stories about cities. Cities are where it's happening. And so I moved to this city, fell in love with it. In fact, I say Colorado Springs chose me. I fell in love with the city overnight. So the analogy of buying a home, and I'm sure many of our listeners can probably understand this analogy. You purchase a home and you love the home as it is, but you also see its potential. And what do is you go to Lowe's or Home Depots, you buy tools, you buy materials, you buy wallpaper, buy paint, and you make it even better. Or sometimes you hire a contractor to make your home better. And that's an analogy I use for my city. I love my city for what it is, but I also love it for what it could become. And from day one, when we hit the ground running, for me as a person that started in a new church, I was asking why at the time many of our young people wanted to leave the city, and it turns out that at the time our city wasn't cool enough for them. Now that's changed. Being the most desirable city in the United States by U.S. News and World Report, the third best city to live, and the rankings go on and on. But at the time, that wasn't the case. So I began to ask, what do you need? What will make you stay? Well, it'd be great to have really cool cultural places to hang out and to be inspired. And that's really how I made my way back to the business world. I said, well, I'm going to do it. And ever since then, I've been raising my hand to do things for the benefit of my city. But that's one of the earliest memories I remember, raising my hands to say, okay, our city needs this. Well, let's do it. And this was my pathway to the mayor's office. I did it at a time during the recession, at the tail end of the recession, where people were still nervous of whether or not to invest in the city. And it was an instant overnight success. We hit the ceiling so fast. And so many people began to ask, well, how did you do this? And I found myself in a position of teaching and helping others. And eventually I got into economic development. And then economic development led to me becoming mayor.
When you think about, your why, because so many people have different reasons why they stepped away from their business or decided to add public service to their life. They have stories about their why. Why did you decide to run for mayor? I mean, you came to the community, you were feeling pretty good, you were, opened up a business, but there was an additional calling to you. But what was your why?
I love that whole what's your why? That's near and dear to what gets me up in the morning, helps me kick ass during the day, and go to sleep at night. Know your why. Topophilia is the Greek word for love of place. Topophilia means a strong sense of belonging to a place. I have topophilia. It sounds like a disease.
It does.
I have topophilia. I love this city. And sometimes love makes you do stupid things like run for office. Uh, especially when you see yourself as a more normal, common sense type that you're supposed to be running away from it. I ran to it. I ran to the roar. I chased the lion. I grabbed the lion by the mane and did something that was impossible, humanly possible without divine help and intervention. And I raised my hands because I love this city and I felt like this city needed something I had to offer. I had enough experience. My personal mission statement is I collaborate for the health, growth, and prosperity of Colorado Springs. So before becoming mayor, I had done a number of initiatives where I could bring diverse people together to work on a project for the flourishing of our city. And I'd done this in the business sector. I'd done this in government. I'd done this in nonprofit. I'd done this in the faith arena. And in a time of extreme polarization and dysfunction, political dysfunction and divisive rhetoric, our communities need fresh leadership. They say that saying, desperate times call for desperate measures. I think that's crap. You see where desperate measures is leading us. I think desperate times calls for a whole new generation of leaders who can lead courageously, with empathy and with humility, and who can lead differently in a time like this. And so the other third reason I ran to is it's sort of this great experiment of what would it look like to when the realm of politics meets decent leadership. I want to say good leadership, but if I say good leadership, then I feel like I'm patting myself on the back. But just decent leadership. What would it look like to disrupt the world of politics? And so it turns out that there was a hunger for what I had to bring to the table. I mean, yes, you mentioned I'm the first elected black, but there's only 6% of us in my city, of African Americans in my city, and so it's to win an election of this magnitude, you had to really touch the hearts and the minds of people, and it had to be a coalition of Republicans and Democrats and Independents all working together for the common good, and sometimes working with even your rivals, which both of my rivals that I ran against are now both supporting me in my office, and I'd be an idiot not to tap into their wisdom, because between the two of them, they have 40 years of political experience in the community and in the state.
Well, I appreciate that because any of us that have run for office, uh, we need to keep that in front of us. I remember when I decided to run for mayor of my community, I had a goal, a mission, a sense of caring for the place that I lived, and I never ever forgot that. Because once you forget that, then you start focusing on yourself and not the community. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. Also, I think I sense such a sense of connection and being open and hearing what is going on in the community. And during the pandemic, that drove you to dealing with address the issue of social isolation and loneliness. And why was that so important? And how did you go about addressing that challenge that the community had at that time?
Gosh, this one is near and dear to my leadership in so many ways. The pastor in me understands that community is where healing begins. Community is where we're at our finest. The pragmatic mayor in me understands that many of our societal issues that come to on my desk, whether it's around homelessness and domestic abuse and teen suicide, a lot of those stem from an unhealthy mind. And you put that together with the number COVID did on us. I talked about being an individualistic society. And what COVID did is like took a society of individuals and even made us more isolated. And we're all coming out of COVID. It's like we're little animals coming out of our hiding, trying to see if the world is safe again. And it is safe. So as mayors, we're in the business of who thought of human connection. Have you ever heard the statement "lone wolves die"? So lone wolves die. It's true in the animal kingdom, and it's true of us as humans as well. I mean, we're pack animals. We're wired for community, and so COVID has taken that away from us, and it's accelerated all the societal issues that we mayors have to deal with. And I don't just want to be in the business of responding to 911 calls or responding to issues. How do we stop them from happening in the first place? So hence, we're mayors are now in the business of upstream solution. And so I ran a campaign that my wife and I would be involved in mental health because it's a root cause for many of our societal crises. I step into office and I'm now seeing the data. And I'm now seeing the report from the U.S. Surgeon General who said social isolation is one of the biggest public health crises of our time, and it's equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes, the health risk of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yeah, it's that bad. And you couple that with Nextdoor app, the neighborhood app. Um, at least some good things can come out of Nextdoor. when you're a mayor elected official, whoo, Nextdoor is next level stuff. It makes Facebook the happy place, and we know Facebook people get angry on Facebook, but
Yes.
Nextdoor is next level. But Nextdoor sponsored a global study with three major universities across one in the U.S. and two outside of the U.S. that revealed that knowing as few as 6 of your neighbors drastically improves your mental well-being, lowers anxiety, lowers depression. Turns out that just being friends again, it's a sweet sauce. Loving your neighbor is a sweet sauce to take care of many of our issues. So why not give it a try? We weren't sure, but I tested it as a pastor. But let's see if there's a hunger in the community. And boy, was there hunger. The stories that came out of this movement are just unbelievable, and to even inspire other cities. And it's been it's been so encouraging. So 1,000 neighborhood gatherings, and we had it in all 77 neighborhoods in our cities, and the level of connectedness, the and even in a political year too,
Yeah.
political divisive year, it actually brought people together. It didn't matter if you're red or blue, you were just neighbors.
Mayor, you know what you made me think about, and I just want for you to give me your thoughts. First of all, when March the 13th came about of this year, I had almost forgot that it's been 5 years since we closed America down, right? And things changed so much. Honestly, I started reflecting on life, our members, NLC staff, our communities. It really made me pause for a moment about impact that you can have. How has your city changed, or how have you changed given these last 5 years and what we survived through? Because it was different. It never
It was
imagined it.
very much.
What's your thoughts on that? How has your city changed, and how have you changed as a leader?
I was in business when the pandemic happened. You're getting me. I'm in a reflection mode now. I was actually part of the governor's fellowship. I was a governor's fellow that year. We had just had a meeting with Governor Ritter and Governor Owens, the two former governors of Colorado, and the next day the world shut down. I'd also taken a job at the city. I was very new to the city government as a small business development administrator, a job I just kind of stumbled into and then became mayor. But I had made a pitch that the city needed a person in city government to represent the city to the small businesses. And I had this ambitious goal of making Colorado Springs the most small business friendly city in the United States. And then COVID happens.
No. Timing is
Oh
everything, they
yeah,
say.
time is everything. It's like, well, we need to shift focus here. But we were scrambling and all desperate. And so here I am trying to help small businesses while my own small business was suffering and hurting. But also I was able to provide help and advice from a very direct experience. This wasn't like just government giving you great things or ideas to think about. No, this was, hey, this is something I've tried in my business. You need to try this too. So we were all scrambling. And then I helped also to start an initiative that has continued to today. It's called Survive and Thrive. And it's a funding opportunity to support small businesses. But that started in COVID. So when you say what changed, there was the things that in our community that changed for the worst, as you were seeing today in today's politics. I think this division was exacerbated by COVID, but there were also good things that have come out of COVID. I think I just mentioned Survive and Thrive, which is not just a funding program to sustain businesses, but it's also a way to get business. Check this out. This is in the spirit of the conversation we're talking about. We now have a way to get business owners from isolation into community, because that's a big part of Survive and Thrive. It's not just giving money, but helping business leaders understand that the struggle is real. It's a lonely place. Let's bring you into community. So as I reflect on the chaos of those moments, I celebrate the things that we're doing better today as a community, and that list is long. But I also grieve the things that we've lost as Americans. And I'm not, but I'm also hopeful, because I'm a student of history. I'm also hopeful that we're going to overcome and we're going to get back to who we used to be and what makes America so great in the first place.
Yeah, I'm inspired by that, and I again, I believe that you do take moments to pause and reflect and appreciate the challenges, but also appreciate the blessings. Because the fact that you and I are still here talking during this episode, we reflect on those people who transition during that time. We reflect on the fact that cities were shut down, and it also shows the resilience that we must have as leaders. So I'm inspired by what you are able to create through the Thousand Neighborhood hood gathering program and other initiative. The final thing is I have never met a mayor that did not think that their city was the best city in the world. And so
You know us too well.
I know. And so, you guys are what, about a 500,000 people.
Uh-huh.
We know about Air Force
We
Academy,
have the Air Force
the
Academy.
natural spaces, the
Yes,
small
we do.
business,
Keep going. Keep
the
going.
hot
Don't stop.
air, the hot air balloon
Oh,
festivals.
come on. How do you know
But
my city so well?
tell me something special that I missed that the City Speak listeners may say, ah, I visited before, but I didn't know that about this great community. Besides having an amazing mayor,
Oh, well, thank you.
you're
No,
welcome. But
well, that's my
what else?
that's my answer. If people are here and they haven't had a chance to connect with me, they're missing me. This is the. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I know.
I'm so glad we can have fun.
Yes.
I earlier in the show I talked about our instant connection and our relationship, and I was in your office in DC, and you were on vacation, and your team was very hospitable, and you, even while you're on vacation, you took the time to join virtually and meet me, and that was incredible. And then I think 2 or 3 months after that, NLC State Directors Conference was here in my city,
Yes.
and I got a chance to address you guys as a new mayor. And I don't know if you remember this, Clarence, but at the end of my talk, I started to sing. What song did I sing?
Oh God, I'm old now. I can't remember.
It's a classic American song.
God bless America.
Oh, close. It's America the Beautiful.
Ah,
Now, that song was written in 1893, inspired by my city.
really?
Yes, Catherine Bates wrote that song after she made the way to the top of Pikes Peak Mountain, America's mountain. And as she overlooked from the mountain and saw, they say you can see up to 5 different states on a clear
Wow.
day at the top of Pikes Peak. By the way, it's the second most visited mountain in the world after Mount Fuji in Japan, which is a sister city of ours. So we're both cities that have this incredible, majestic mountains in the backdrop of our city. So that is one of the things. It's one of the most accessible mountains in the country. You can access it by car, rail, hiking. We do a yearly race from it where it's a marathon and a half marathon. The second oldest race in the country is on that mountain, Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. So it's one of not just our city's most iconic assets, it's the nation's most iconic asset. And that asset is really why the city exists. General Palmer, the founder of our city 154 years ago, came to this area on this barren land, treeless plain, saw the beauty of this area and said, "We're going to build a city out of nowhere." And he did, and we're still building a city out till today. So I'm part of the legacy of pioneers and visionaries who looked at that mountain for inspiration to do great things. And today, I still look at that mountain for inspiration to do great things. And don't forget, we have Olympic assets here too. So if anybody's interested in Olympic, Colorado Springs is your home.
When is that coming?
We do. Oh, I was supposed to invite you to this. Your team told me
Yes.
to invite you to this. We have a Hall of Fame ceremony coming up in July. I think July, and we're inviting. I'm inviting the mayors of LA and Salt Lake City too, who are the host cities, to come to Colorado Springs to celebrate the induction of the new class of Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Famers. And Colorado Springs is the ops and business city for the Olympic and Paralympic movement.
Listeners of City Speak, you've had the blessing and honor of hearing a conversation as I started with someone that I admire and I call a friend, Mayor Yemi from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Thank you, Mayor, and I truly appreciate the time that you've given us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and let's stay connected.
You got it.
Thanks for listening to City Speak with Clarence Anthony. If you like this show, let us know. Share this episode with your friends and make sure to subscribe. We're curious to hear what you think, what you want more of, and how we can improve. If you have feedback or an idea for a guest you'd like Clarence to sit down with, send us your thoughts at cityspeakpodcast@nlc.org. Join us next month for a new episode. Like and subscribe here or wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time.